The story begins with two scientists, Julia and Oscar, conducting research in a snow-covered Arctic wasteland. For their experiment, they plant bombs in the icy water and detonate them, creating powerful explosions. At that exact moment, headquarters alerts them that a massive storm is approaching their location, forcing them to evacuate immediately. Nearby, a Russian submarine passes through the same waters, and its crew hears a strange, loud noise from the depths, something no machine could make. They do not understand what it is, but the most surprising thing is that the waves of the sea begin rising from the bottom to the top, as if something colossal is pushing them upward. Julia's scanners start behaving erratically, and the snow around her camp begins cracking and breaking at an alarming speed. Julia wants to collect her research papers before fleeing, but the storm is already too close. Oscar pulls her onto their snowmobile and they try to escape. Meanwhile, the submarine captain realizes that the sound they heard belongs to a living creature, and he immediately orders an attempt to escape from it. But suddenly, something enormous collides with the submarine in the water. Above, Julia and Oscar race across the breaking ice, but the snow fractures ahead of them as well. Their snowmobile, their only way out, crashes hard, burns to ashes, and sinks into the freezing water. The explosions quickly destroy their camp, and the remaining scientists slowly sink and die. The submarine also suffers continuous damage, its crew barely staying in their seats as everything shakes violently. After great effort, they manage to fire their weapons, and in the flash of light, they see massive tentacles emerging from the darkness. A crew member crashes into the glass screen and falls unconscious. Before the submarine sinks completely, an officer sends an emergency message. News of the disappearance reaches the Russian Navy headquarters. Because the submarine carried critically important weapons, they order a rescue mission. The scientist chosen to lead this mission is Victor, who is also the brother of the trapped submarine's captain. Victor's family is terrified that he will also get stuck. His mother, deeply worried, gives him a watch that belonged to his father, who is no longer alive. She says the watch will protect him, that wherever his father is, he will take care of Victor. That night when Victor arrives at the docks, he discovers that his father's old friend, a senior admiral named Ashansky, is also joining the mission. Victor worries that the admiral's age makes him vulnerable, but there is no turning back. The crew boards the submarine and departs. On the surface, Julia and Oscar are wandering through the snowstorm trying to find a signal. Julia's mind drifts and she nearly falls into a deep pit, but Oscar saves her at the last moment. Then Julia's phone picks up a signal from an oil rig, a team working at sea. She makes a call, but the snowstorm is so loud that the people on the rig cannot understand her. Within moments, the signal fades and the call cuts off. Oscar, devastated, fires a flare gun into the sky and collapses from exhaustion. The next morning, Victor's submarine reaches the location where the second submarine vanished. After extensive preparation, they dive into the water. The crew notices that Admiral Ashensky has taken Victor to a private room where senior officers are already waiting. They are given a report to read, and everyone becomes visibly upset. Soon, rumors of the missing submarine spread everywhere. Meanwhile, Julia and Oscar find a buoy stuck in the snow. A buoy is a device that sends signals to nearby ships floating in the water. Hope rises within them that someone will come to find them. They stop wandering and stay where they are. When the submarine detects the buoy signal, it immediately moves in that direction. Suddenly, a large pod of whales surrounds the submarine. The crew tries to navigate downward without harming them, but a whale accidentally collides with the propeller. Admiral Ashensky orders the crew to activate the sonar, but Victor disagrees. Sonar is used to detect objects, communicate, and create sound waves. When the sonar is activated, the whales swim away for a moment, but as soon as it stops, they return. The crew does not understand what is happening. Then all the whales flee at once, and the lower part of the sea begins rising upward. A massive tentacle moves in the darkness, killing all the whales with a single blow. The submarine's crew cannot hear the sound, but their sonar signals that a very large creature is about to collide with them. Admiral Ashensky thinks it might be an enemy ship and orders the crew to fire, but Victor dislikes this order and tells the crew to hide quickly. They take the submarine into a crack in an icy wall. Whenever the submarine collides with the ice, it shakes violently and the radar sound grows faster, hurting the ears of those wearing headphones. The strange enemy follows them, but the crew is forced to stop because an ice wall blocks their path. The good news is that the unknown enemy has moved away. When the crew assesses the damage, Admiral Alshansky scolds Victor for taking an unnecessary risk. They have no choice but to surface to repair the submarine. At that moment, Julia and Oscar are lying under rocks trying to keep warm. Suddenly, they hear the sound of breaking ice and the submarine emerges from the water. The crew immediately sees them and comes to help. The crew members meet them and listen to their story, unsure if they belong to the missing submarine. Victor checks on Oscar and then speaks with the admiral. Admiral Ashensky says they should leave the two behind with some food as they might be spies from another country, but Victor takes pity on them and brings them inside the submarine. After the repairs are complete, the submarine dives again and begins searching near the buoy. Following a medical checkup, Julia and Oscar are given food. Victor shows them a map and asks for the location of their camp. He also asks if they saw anything strange. Julia mentions the massive explosions. Hearing this, Victor thinks the explosions might be the reason his brother's submarine sank. The crew begins planning their next move. Admiral Alshansky argues that they should return because the danger from the radar could come back, and if they are attacked again, sending an emergency signal would be difficult. But Victor is desperate to find his brother and orders the submarine to go to Julia's camp. The admiral pulls Victor aside and warns him that this is the second time he has made a wrong decision, and if it happens again, everything will be over. Victor explains to one of his companions that they must hurry because if anyone is alive in the other submarine, their oxygen is running out and they need to reach them soon. Julia hears a strange voice that makes her nervous, but Oscar calms her by saying it is the sonar searching for the other submarine. The search continues, but the radar shows that the strange enemy is following them again. Victor tells the crew to find a hiding place like before, but this time there is none nearby. However, there is an oil rig close by, so Victor decides they can hide there. As the submarine prepares to surface, all the workers on the oil rig see massive tentacles rising from the sea and faint in terror. They immediately sound the alarm and the tentacles begin attacking the rig. Buildings collapse, explosions erupt everywhere, and many workers try to flee in fear, but there is nowhere to go because the entire structure is breaking apart. As the submarine loses contact with the rig, Victor looks through the telescope and sees the massive tentacles destroying everything. He is terrified. He shows the entire view on the screen so the whole crew can see how enormous their enemy truly is. It is a Kraken, a giant octopus of ancient legend about which countless stories have been told. When the rig is completely destroyed, the Kraken chases the submarine again, forcing them to turn immediately. Admiral Ashensky believes this is the third mistake Victor has made by showing the monster to the crew. He takes command and orders 2 bombs to be dropped. Both bombs hit the target directly. The admiral thinks the enemy is dead, but then an officer says the enemy is still alive and moving forward with even more anger. Another bomb is dropped, causing another blast that hits the target again, but it is not enough to kill the massive monster. The monster keeps chasing the submarine, and the admiral, frozen with fear, cannot do anything. Victor takes command again and orders the submarine to run as fast as possible. They avoid most of the monster's attacks, but a tentacle strikes the submarine hard, causing massive damage and injuring many people. Victor hits his head and becomes dizzy. Computers short-circuit and a computer falls directly onto a man. The submarine begins sinking and the monster attacks even harder. Suddenly, a blast erupts in the missile section, causing a massive fire. The crew seals the area and tries to extinguish the fire with extinguishers, but another powerful tentacle attack sends the submarine falling deeper. The radar shows that the creature has surrounded them from all sides. The crew looks carefully and confirms that the monster is a Kraken. They have only 1 missile left and they must use it wisely. They begin discussing what to do next. Victor says to put the submarine in silent mode because marine animals usually hunt using sound. The workers in the missile room are ordered to stop extinguishing the fire, which causes carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide levels to rise dangerously. The Kraken's voice painfully echoes in an officer's ears, and the people in the missile room begin to think they will die. But fortunately, Victor's plan works, and the Kraken moves away. They return to their work, but the fire has spread so much that a small extinguisher cannot control it. Some people begin burning. Victor tells everyone to empty that section. Let whatever is burning burn, just save your lives. As some officers exit the fire area, they are badly injured, but the rest of the crew helps them to the door. At the last second, the door is closed to prevent the fire from spreading, and the fire is finally extinguished by controlling the pressure in that room. Afterward, those who are still healthy are given work, and the injured are sent to their rooms. Julia and Oscar help treat their wounds, earning the crew's trust. Victor asks the crew for their opinion on what to do now. Everyone says they should go back because they do not know the location of the other submarine and they have no protection against the Kraken. Admiral Ashensky reminds Victor that his father was a hero who died saving people in a submarine accident, so Victor should show wisdom here. After much thought, Victor agrees that going back is the right choice. As the submarine turns back, Victor reads the last letter his father wrote. Julia comes to his room, shows him the map, and points out all the locations where the Kraken was seen, as well as the location of her camp. She says that according to old stories, the monster has attacked many ships before, but then suddenly disappeared. Scientists believe the Kraken went into a deep sleep. The explosions they used may have hit the Kraken's hidden home, waking it up. If everyone wants to stay alive, they must stop using sonar or it will come after them again. Because Julia knows so much about the Kraken, Victor asks if she has any idea where his brother's submarine might be. Julia says the Kraken drags its prey to its home, and that place is located near their camp. An officer enters and interrupts their conversation. He says they have found a clue that people are alive there. During silent mode, they recorded someone repeatedly knocking on metal. They track the signal and find that it is coming from near Julia's camp. It is clear that some people are still alive in the other submarine. Victor calls everyone together and says that their soldiers are trapped in that submarine, standing between life and death. If they do not save them, who will? He says not to think. He only wants to go there for his brother. If any of them were trapped, he would do the same for them. He orders the crew to take the submarine to Julia's camp. Suddenly, nuts and bolts begin popping out of the machines and walls. Glass and lights start breaking. This means the submarine has gone into deeper water, so they bring it a little higher. An officer notices they have arrived at a different place. Victor says they should send a mini-submarine to explore. Because the pilot of the minisub was injured in the first attack, Victor says he will go himself, and the admiral will lead the team until he returns. The mini-submarine departs with Victor and 2 other officers. As they descend into the deep water, strange sounds come from the metal hull due to the pressure. It is the first time they have gone this deep. The pressure soon begins to affect the submarine. If they do not find something soon, they will have to turn back. Then they hear a voice. They follow it and discover thousands of sunken ships. This means Julia's theory and the old stories are absolutely true. The Kraken has attacked several ships over the centuries and made them its prey. Finally, they find the other submarine and check its damage. They see that the front section is still absolutely fine, meaning some people may be hiding there. They try to connect the mini-sub to the old submarine, which is very difficult under such pressure. But after great effort, they make a connection. Victor puts on a diving suit, and through this connection enters the second submarine. When he opens the door, he is overjoyed to find his brother Alexander and the entire crew alive. He immediately informs the main submarine, and everyone celebrates. Victor sends as many people as can fit in the mini-sub back to the main submarine. It will take 2 trips to save everyone. Victor decides to stay behind with his brother. He puts a tracker on the front of the submarine so his location will not be lost. But then he remembers that the Kraken can also detect the signal, so they shut down the tracker. When the mini-sub leaves, the whole submarine shakes hard once but does not fall. They soon reach the main submarine and treatment of the rescued people begins. But the pilot who was driving the mini-sub is in bad condition and cannot go the second time. Julia asks her partner Oscar to help because he has worked on a submarine before. He agrees. When the mini-sub leaves again, the admiral sees on the radar that the Kraken has begun to stir once more. Inside the wreck, Victor and Alexander go to find the dangerous weapons their superiors requested. They reach the destroyed area and take the code from the safe. But when they try to enter the code into the computer, the system does not work. Victor is not someone who gives up. After pressing many buttons at the same time, the computer finally turns on. He sees that the weapon can still be used. The mini-sub detects the signals coming from the weapons and follows them to Victor's location. Back on the main submarine, everyone is terrified because the Kraken has come very close to them. The crew quickly lands the submarine in the lower part of the sea and goes into silent mode. The Kraken throws a massive stone at the submarine, damaging a section and causing water to pour in. Everyone becomes very scared. The mini-sub reaches Victor's location, but as it moves forward, the tracker accidentally turns on. The Kraken was about to attack the main submarine, but as soon as it gets the tracker signal, it moves toward its cave. The admiral orders the crew to take advantage of this opportunity and ascend. Meanwhile, Victor tries to reach the minisub, which has been shut down by the Kraken's attack. Alexander hears the sound of the minisub and tells his crew to leave while he waits for his brother. Finally, Victor reaches the room with the weapons and begins coding the missile while Alexander codes on the computer. It takes some time to load the weapons. Meanwhile, the Kraken finds them. They are mentally prepared for its attack. As its tentacles revolve around the submarine, the 2 brothers talk to each other and apologize for their old fights. The Kraken snaps half of the submarine in an instant, but that part was already empty. The Kraken is about to attack again when the 2 brothers press the button together, firing the weapons. Water begins to enter the submarine, so Victor quickly returns to Alexander. The weapons are about to explode on their own, so the 2 brothers try to escape quickly. The submarine is sinking and strong waves send water into the corridor, separating them. Victor finds Alexander's hand coming out of the water. He immediately grabs it and pulls his brother toward him, finally saving him. They climb the stairs into the minisub and close the door so water cannot enter. Only 2 minutes remain before the explosions, but the minisub will not launch. It is being pulled down by the main submarine. Victor sees the emergency lever. As soon as he pulls it, the minisub separates from the second submarine and races out of there. The blasts create shock waves that send their mini-sub spinning. On the main submarine, everyone is waiting for their safe return. After a while, hopes begin to break. They think the two brothers may have died and their faces fall with regret. Then bubbles appear in the water. The mini-sub finally surfaces safely. Everyone celebrates that they all survived. The bravery of both brothers is praised by the crew led by Victor. Their mother is waiting for them at home. When she sees that both her sons have returned safely, her life is complete. Mother and sons share a joyful reunion. Victor offers his father's watch to Alexander, but Alexander refuses, saying Victor is the true keeper of it. And with that, the story ends.